If you walked past the wealthiest person in your city today, you probably wouldn't notice. No branded bag, no loud car, no visible performance of success. Meanwhile, some of the most anxious, overextended people you know are the ones who look the most successful from the outside. Today, we're going to talk about why calm, not hustle, might be the closest thing to real wealth that exists. By the end of this video, you'll understand the psychology behind what's sometimes called quiet wealth, why calm so often gets mistaken for a lack of ambition, what's actually happening underneath that mistake, and 3 shifts that move you toward a calmer, more genuinely prosperous life, regardless of your current bank account. Most of us have absorbed, without ever choosing to, a specific equation. Visible effort equals worth. If you're not busy, you're not working hard enough. If you're not stressed, you're probably not ambitious enough. If your life looks calm from the outside, something must be wrong. You must not be pushing. This shows up everywhere. People perform exhaustion as a badge of honor. "I haven't slept in days" gets said with something close to pride. Constant busyness becomes proof of importance, even when much of that busyness produces very little of actual value. And meanwhile, actual prosperity, the kind that produces a life you don't need to escape from, often looks nothing like this at all. Here's a pattern worth noticing. Many people who are visibly performing success are doing so because the performance itself is filling a gap. Buying something expensive to be noticed, talking about a big opportunity before it's real, filling every silence with an update about their momentum. None of this is dishonest exactly. It's often just an old, learned belief showing up. If people don't see my progress, it might not count. If I'm not visibly striving, I might be forgotten, or worse, judged as lazy. But there's a cost to constantly performing progress, and it's rarely discussed directly. It keeps your nervous system in a near-permanent state of low-grade alert. You're not just doing the work, you're also managing how the work looks, constantly, to an audience that may not even be paying attention. That second layer, the performance layer, is expensive, not in money, in the exact resource, calm, clarity, presence, that could actually let you build something real. Here's the part that reframes everything. Much of what we call drive or ambition in modern life is actually anxiety, wearing a more socially acceptable costume. Anxiety and ambition can look almost identical from the outside. Both produce constant motion. Both keep you working late. Both make stillness feel dangerous. But they come from completely different places, and they lead to completely different lives. Ambition, in its clean form, comes from genuine interest, from wanting to build or create something specific. It can coexist with rest. It doesn't collapse the moment you slow down. Anxiety, dressed up as ambition, comes from somewhere else entirely. A nervous system that has learned, somewhere along the way, that stopping is unsafe, that value has to be constantly re-earned, or it disappears. This is why some of the most successful-looking people you know seem incapable of enjoying what they've built. The system driving them was never actually oriented toward enjoyment. It was oriented toward avoiding the feeling of not being enough. This connects to something we've discussed before on this channel: a nervous system that mistakes stillness for danger. Applied here, it explains something important. People who have done the quiet work of regulating that system don't need external proof of their worth constantly renewed. Their sense of value comes from somewhere internal, somewhere steadier. And this is precisely what tends to get mistaken for a lack of ambition. Calm gets read as complacency, but often it's the opposite. It's what remains once you stop needing an audience to confirm you're doing well. There's also a philosophical thread here worth naming directly. In Stoic thought, this is close to the idea of non-attachment, not indifference to success, but success that doesn't require external witnessing to feel real. You can enjoy what you build without needing anyone to watch you build it. That distinction, subtle as it sounds, changes almost everything about how a life actually feels to live, regardless of what it looks like from the outside. So if calm isn't the opposite of success, but often its actual foundation, the question becomes practical. How do you actually build a life oriented around internal, quiet value instead of constant, external proof? Here are 3 shifts, not overnight changes, but directions to lean toward consistently. First, notice when you're about to announce something before it's real. Not to shame yourself out of ever sharing progress, sharing is fine. But notice the specific moments when the urge to announce comes from wanting the reaction, more than from wanting the thing itself. A simple internal check. Would I still do this if no one ever found out? If the honest answer is no, that's worth sitting with, not acting on immediately. Second, practice enjoying something privately before you let anyone else witness it. A small win, a piece of work you're proud of, a moment of progress. Let yourself feel the satisfaction fully, alone, before sharing it. This single habit, repeated enough times, slowly retrains your nervous system to locate value inside you rather than in someone else's reaction. Third, separate calm from complacency deliberately. This distinction matters because some people hear quiet prosperity and use it to justify avoiding effort altogether. That's not what this is. The goal isn't to stop building. It's to build from a regulated, grounded place instead of an anxious one, which counterintuitively tends to produce better, more sustainable results anyway, because decisions made from calm are usually clearer than decisions made from urgency. None of these shifts happen instantly, but each time you catch yourself performing instead of building, and quietly choose to redirect toward the second, you're constructing something that external validation, however much of it you eventually receive, was never actually going to give you. A life that feels genuinely yours, whether or not anyone is watching it. There's one more layer worth sitting with, because it explains why this shift feels so difficult for so many people. Needing to be seen isn't shallow or vain most of the time. It's often a very old, very human fear that if no one witnesses what you do, it might not have mattered. This fear tends to run deepest in people who, at some point, learned that their worth was tied to being noticed, praised, or approved of by someone whose attention wasn't reliably available. If that's part of your story, quiet prosperity can feel, at first, almost like erasure, like disappearing rather than arriving. This is worth naming honestly, because pretending the shift is easy would be dishonest. It's not. Choosing internal validation over external proof, when you've spent years building your sense of worth on the second, can feel disorienting before it feels peaceful. But here's what tends to happen, slowly, for people who stay with it. The less your worth depends on being witnessed, the less exhausting your entire life becomes. You stop performing recovery from setbacks. You stop performing effort during work. You stop performing calm you don't actually feel. And underneath all that performance, something quieter and more durable finally has room to grow. Not because you stopped caring about your life going well, but because you stopped needing anyone else to confirm that it was. Before you go, think of one recent thing you did well, something you haven't announced to anyone yet, or maybe never will. Let yourself feel proud of it, right now, quietly, without needing anyone else to witness this moment with you. That feeling, private, unwitnessed, still completely real, is closer to actual prosperity than almost anything you could buy, post, or perform. Not because success doesn't matter, but because the version of success that doesn't need an audience is the only version that was ever really yours to keep. This channel is for people quietly rebuilding their foundation, one private, unwitnessed moment at a time. If this found you at the right moment, stay a while. I'll see you in the next one.